G'day folks, welcome back to Dune Awakening, and welcome to episode 70 of our series. I hope you're all doing well. Goodness me, 70 episodes. Again, time flies when you're having a good time playing a game such as Dune Awakening. I've really enjoyed my time, but I think we're probably only a few episodes out, perhaps, into, I guess, the very last episode. I'm thinking we might wrap things up at 75 or so. I'm just sort of thinking about the amount of missions that are available to us, and obviously what we want to get done here at the base, such as building the large spice refinery. So there's still a little bit more to go, but considering this is episode 70, I figure we celebrate by going into the deep desert and crossing over into endgame territory, finally. So, if we're going to be doing that, then we do need to prepare ourselves with the best gear. So let's get ourselves ready for that. First things first, maybe let's just take off all of this gear, and we'll put on the gear that we're going to be using for some of these challenging areas. So I think that should be everything, and then we can throw our chome gear in here. So that's looking good. Let's just sort things alphabetically. Yeah, I think that's every single piece there. And yeah, I mean, we should also get the other pieces of gear as well, right? So we want to take off all of that. We're probably going to tuck away Thufir's best as well. Healing items. So I think we continue to use heal kits and heal kit Mark IIs. I hope that's going to be enough to keep us alive. I'm going to keep some of the better healing kits for perhaps maybe even more challenging areas, because arguably the place that I'm going to today is maybe a little bit easier than some of the other testing stations that are available out there, so hopefully we won't need like really good heal kits. Speaking of really good heal kits, I still don't know where to get like off-world medical supplies, but perhaps maybe some of these areas will provide them. Full suspensor belt, still the best thing for the job, and I was sort of reading a lot of articles and a lot of threads about which belt would be good, and only if you're sort of inclined to, hover in the air and try to maneuver in the air a little bit more would Emperor's Wings come into play, but I think most people can agree that the full suspensor belt is the best belt for, a wide array of uses. So it's the most flexible. Let me just come back here and make sure that we have all of the right gear here. So Young Sparky is definitely what I want to use. I'm not entirely sure if we've got a better Holtzman shield, or if we go with the Mark V. I think the Mark V might be the best shield that we have at the moment. Let's throw Thufir's best in there. We want Perforator. We might need to repair the vehicle every now and then, so I'll probably bring the welding torch, but I'll probably only need one welding torch, to be honest, so I can probably throw one of these things back there, and probably don't need the static compactor or the resource scanner. I think some of these things may not get dropped if you die and you just retain them. So yeah, I'm just thinking of whether or not there's anything else we can drop. There's a few things in our inventory which I still can't figure out how to get rid of. So, and I can't exactly drop these things or put them in storage. Let's throw that there, and then the perforator in slot 2. Spare weapons. Drill shot. Regis sword. Even the cutter ray, I feel like we could perhaps maybe tuck away the cutter ray. Power pack Mark 6. Would there be a need for the cutter ray? Oh, I suppose yes. There would be a need for the cutter ray to cut through certain doors and stuff. We'll need some light darts as well, and probably a good idea to tidy up the inventory as much as possible. Food, I think food might not be a bad idea, so that we can go into prescience mode more than once. Speaking of prescience mode, I should actually eat and drink some of this stuff so that we're ready to actually go into prescience mode immediately. So let's see. I just need a little bit more. There we go. So 1 use of prescience. And I think with the amount of stuff that we have at the moment, we might be able to get like a couple more uses of prescience. Alright, so light darts. I definitely want to bring some light darts because the perforator will be using light darts. And I do have a lot of welding wire. I don't know if I need that much because I'm just bringing the scout with me. So I think I can drop maybe 2 batches in there just to free up some inventory space. And yeah, I'm kind of scratching my head here. I thought we had a better shield, maybe in the container over here somewhere. Powerpack Mark 5. Let's just sort everything alphabetically. I've got a lot of food. In case we really need to eat a lot of food. Here we go. Dune Watcher. We should bring that with us. And no, it looks like I don't have a better shield than the Mark 5 currently. Do I have the ability to make a better shield? Would that be done from here? I can't remember where we make the shields from. Let me just go into research and have a quick look. Must be in combat. Holtzman shield Mark 5 is the best we can do without any unique schematics. So if we find something better, a unique schematic, obviously that'll be very valuable. And since it's in combat, would it be... No, it wouldn't be from the weapons. It wouldn't be from the garment fabricator, I don't think. So, yeah, might be from here. Actually, I should be able to check where it's crafted as well. From the survival fabricator. But, I mean... It doesn't look like we've got a an ability to make something better than what we currently have, so let's not fuss over it too much. Let's pop the shield on. Now, I've got a spare, just in case we need that. A full suspensor belt. Ideally, I would like a spare as well, just in case it breaks. We've got a decent chunk of durability though, but I think it might not be a bad idea just to bring us a spare one just in case. So let's quickly fix that up. And I think we're going to be ready. Do I need to bring the handheld scanner? I don't know. This item hasn't exactly been very useful in a lot of situations, has it? And because we're going to a testing station, I also feel like we don't need the compactor. So let's leave those two behind. And I think we might be ready. So let's do that. I think that's a decent composition. And we've got plenty of ammo. Hopefully it's enough to actually clear the testing station that we're about to visit. Still don't know what this slot is for, guys. This has been such a mystery to me. If any of you guys know, let me know what goes in there, but I think we're just about ready to make our way out to the deep desert and soloing our very first testing station. So let us go out there. Actually, I do need to review my skills, don't I? So I'll tell you what, guys, I'll cut here, then I'll come back and talk to you guys about the skills that I've chosen. Okay guys, I've just spent a little bit of time doing that respec. Let's just take a quick look at what we've got. Now, keeping in mind, I did screw up the respec a little bit, and I'm gonna have to wait a couple of days before I can respec again, but that's okay. I think for the most part, I've got what we need, so we'll push on. But yeah, things can definitely be a little bit better. So first things first, with the Swordmaster, I did take everything that's going to give us a little bit more stamina and a little bit more vitality as well, including optimized hydration. So I'm going to try and hydrate often so that we've got as much stamina as possible, because using the blade is going to be our primary damage dealing attack. Also, I made a mistake here, specifically, with Prescient Strike. So, I like the idea of Prescient Strike, but then I realized that the abilities that I've chosen that need to be activated, none of them are actually Swordmaster abilities, which means that this is not going to activate ever. So, yeah, a bit of a wasted skill there, but that's okay. It was only 3 skill points. Obviously, blade damage is very important, so we've got blade damage and long blade damage specifically, because obviously we're using the long blade. And aside from that, the Bene Gesserit skills obviously invested quite heavily in this. Again, keeping us alive here, a lot of the skills that would mean healing to the best of our abilities when we use any healing items. I've got Compel, and I've got Stop, which is the skills that I've been using for the last several episodes. And we do also have, well, I mean, we'll get to it a little bit later, but the Shigawire Claw. I did also decide to go with Screech, because we've got mostly Bene Gesserit skills, and once we're in Prescience mode, we should be able to do this Screech when we use any of these skills, which should affect more enemies within the area. That's sort of how I understand it, but I've never really used it, so, you know, we're going to have to see what this actually does. A few more, like, skill points into blade damage, and then moving on to the Planetologist. So Planetologist skills, the main thing that I wanted to focus on was overcharge and rerouting, so this is going to make sure that we've got a lot more power in our power pack, and our power pack's going to last a little bit longer. I did invest a little bit in being fuel efficient, especially when piloting, because obviously that's our primary mode of transport at the moment. So moving on to the Mentat. Didn't really do too much here with the Mentat except for trying to get more ranged damage, and I also invested a little bit in rifle damage, because obviously we've got the sniper rifle with us. And then finally with the trooper. So I wish we had those 2 extra skill points from the mistake that I made, and I would have invested it right here in the Shigawire Claw. I don't know why I didn't go into level 3 immediately, but I think this just means that the cooldown is going to be a little bit longer. So I'm gonna have to see how this pans out. And obviously I'll be very keen on respeccing immediately as soon as we get the chance. I did also invest a little bit more in ranged damage, scattergun damage, and also the disruptor damage. Now, disruptor pistols, I don't exactly have any disruptors at the moment, but the plan is to get a decent disruptor and be able to sort of use this skill. I mean, arguably I could have maybe not invested in this initially and perhaps maybe distributed the skill points elsewhere for the time being. But anyway, it's there. And I decided to go with center of mass, and I use that technique instead of the one that I've usually gone with, which is marksman. Obviously marksman deals quite a lot more damage to headshots, but I just think that it's a lot harder to hit those headshots. So that's why I decided to go with center mass instead, because, well, again, scatterguns as well, so presumably we'll be hitting enemies in their center instead of on the head. So that's our build. Whether or not it's a decent build, who knows? It could all perhaps go very, very badly. Actually, there's one last thing that I want to grab before we go, and that is the booster for the ornithopter, because I don't really think we're going to need to load up the ornithopter with anything, and we're just going to come out with what we can carry. So I think the booster makes a lot of sense. So let's just go alphabetical there, and yeah, here we go. So the thrusters. I'll go with this one, which should provide us with a little bit more durability. And let's head out there. Actually, sorry guys, I know I keep saying we're about to go, but I just want to maybe tuck this away so we don't have to carry it with us. There we go. So I think we're ready. And I've got a good idea of where our destination is, so that's the wrong storage compartments. There we go. Alright, finally, we are ready. Whether or not we're ready to face off tougher enemies and be locked in with mobs of enemies, it's a different story. But anyway, I shall meet you guys when we get out to the deep desert and when we are on location. Okay guys, I think we've found the testing station, which is called Mannequin Manor, I believe. So this is a little bit more of an easier testing station to be able to hopefully solo. Now, one thing that I did do, I did actually go back to the base and I built one more thing before coming back here, which is the respawn beacon. Because if we die, I don't really want to have to respawn so far away from this location, so we can just simply come back to it, right? So I'll just place a respawn beacon right there. Hopefully that's safe enough. And yeah, I think we're ready for this challenge, you would hope. Let's tuck away the vehicle first. Let's have a drink, make sure that we're fully satiated on that front. And yeah, I mean, I think we're ready for the challenge. I'm just trying to recall whether or not we've been to Mannequin Manor, or whether or not we went to a completely different location when we first visited the deep desert, because I remember we went to the deep desert once and we tried to challenge a testing station and we got completely obliterated. I don't know if it is the same place, but yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we will fare a little bit better now that we've got all this really good gear on hand. Okay, make sure that we're all fully loaded, obviously. And I'll just quickly switch to the cut array for when we need it. Alright, so we're looking for any manner of chests that we might be able to find. It is a PvE area, apparently, so I guess if we do run into other players, I don't think we're really going to be fighting those players. Really, we're just going to be fighting other enemies. Or PvE enemies. Okay, it doesn't seem like too much of a challenge at the moment. But there are quite a few of these guys out there. So, can we tank enough damage? I'm not sure. There we go. Let's just recharge our shields. And we should be using the voice, really. Okay, not too much more of a challenge so far. Yeah, that weight on the Shigawire Claw is pretty brutal, if you think about it. Especially if you're relying on it quite heavily. So, yeah, I definitely would want to respec the first chance that I get, but... Okay. Now that things are a little bit quieter, we should be able to look around. So I'm thinking that's probably going to be a room where we get locked in, which is basically our very first challenge. And without getting through that, I don't think there's really any loot to be had. Yeah, I don't think these rooms offer anything. We'll eventually come back out through there. Again, the layout seems pretty familiar, so I'm thinking maybe we have been here before, but I'm just trying to remember whether or not we survived. Okay, here goes nothing. Okay, that's one down. Yeah, we're definitely locked in here, aren't we? So there's not too many enemies, though, it seems. So this is pretty comfortable. Again, I don't know if I should be focusing on getting headshots, considering the skills that we've taken, or whether or not we can just simply get away with just doing body shots. Maybe body shots are okay. Nice. Ooh. Yeah, this is pretty nice as well. The perforator. I think it does bleed damage as well, so I'm not entirely sure if bleed damage is better than poison, or whether or not poison is better. Regardless though, any kind of tick damage that we can deal to an enemy while they're trying to sort of approach us is welcome. Irradiated cores, I think that is. So I can't go through there. Probably just through here. I'm thinking there's probably going to be another challenge room. So far, the rooms that we've fought in have been quite wide. So that gives us quite a bit of breathing space, obviously, to avoid enemy attacks, but we might not be so lucky for the next ones. What do we have here? Another Mark V. I could take that, just in case. Everything else, I might take all of those. Buggy Booster Mark V, that's not really that interesting, so I'll leave that. I don't see another way out from there. Perhaps maybe we're supposed to go back and then go through some of the other doors that we saw. Yeah, perhaps. Another Power Pack Mark V. I'm not sure if I really want to bring that with me. So, I'm not really seeing any other doors. Am I missing something? Oh, this one. Okay, we've got some research here. 40 intel points. Oh, those are the intel points that I needed to complete all of our research. Take all of that. All of that. May as well take all of the water as well. And yeah, this is what we're looking for, right? So what's this? Rock carrier wing. So this must be for the carrier ornithopter because it's a set of 8. And then plastanium dust, which we could always do with more of. And is that it? That might be it, guys. Maybe I'm getting a little bit worked up for not really too much. Maybe I really do need to challenge myself a little bit more and go to a very, very difficult testing station. I'm pretty sure the other testing stations that are available, pretty much the dial goes up to high. And we might not get out alive, I don't think. So that's why I'm keen on this one. I'm just sort of looking around just in case I've missed any pathways here, but maybe that's it. I don't think there's any verticality or anything like that here. Hidden doors? I'm not sure if there are hidden doors. Maybe that's it, guys, so I'm gonna head back. So that was maybe a little bit of an introduction to endgame stuff. Not the biggest challenge. I think in the next episode we'll have to go to another testing station that's going to be very, very tough to deal with, and who knows, we might not survive, but I'm willing to give it a crack. I think at this stage I'm going to cut till we get back home, and we're going to continue with polishing up some of those missions that we've got lined up. I'll see you there. Right guys, we are back. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I felt about our first proper endgame run there. It seemed a little bit too easy. I feel like we're being lulled into a false sense of security. But I was sort of having a bit of a read of some of the available areas out there in the deep desert, and there's a lot more than what I can currently see in this particular map reset. So there's a couple of more testing stations that I saw available out there. So one of them is, I think, the living quarters or something like that, which is pretty hard. And I'm pretty sure maybe that's what we challenged last time and couldn't really get through the waves of enemies. So that's probably a good place to go to again, but there's quite a lot that I've actually never been to and never seen. So a few of them include, I think, Spice Sanctum, Cactus Chaos, Hidden Garden, and I think there's another shipwreck called Holy Wreck as well, which I'm not entirely sure if I've ever been to or seen. So I'm hoping maybe in the next few episodes we'll be able to hit up a few of those spots. But in the meantime, I think we can, again, clean up a few of these missions that we've got queued up. And one thing that we need to do is to go back out to the shoal, to one of the shipwrecks there, and we need to find an amplifier. So obviously, if we're going out to the shoal, we're definitely going to need some radiation protection. So let's prepare that. I probably do want to just quickly repair this one because it's definitely not looking so good. Just making sure that we're letting go of things that we don't exactly need to carry with us. Advanced Servox. I guess we've got plenty of advanced Servox. I might want to just tuck that away here. What about the radiated cores? Doesn't look like we've got radiated cores in this container here, but we might actually have some just sitting around in storage with the survival fabricator, so I'll just keep it there. What else do we have? I guess we've got these spare Holtzman shields, which I could probably let go of, and a bit of spice-infused dust there. So yeah, let's leave it there. And then what about the overclocked power regulator? I think, again, that's something that goes with the survival fabricator. So pop that in. Maybe that as well. Yeah, things are looking much better now. Rad suits. Again, let's give this a quick repair before we leave. It's a bit of duraluminum there. But yeah, I like how we can find some of these items that are already half used, rather than having to craft our own. Just makes life that much easier. Okay, so out to the shoal area we go. This is... okay, that's actually quite the trek, isn't it? So I'll meet you guys when we get a little bit closer. Right. Getting very close to radiation territory. Let's put the rad suit on. And yeah, let's find this amplifier as soon as possible, preferably. I wonder if it might not be a bad idea to just grab some jasmium while we're here. Because I could always do with a little bit of extra jasmium. I do have my booster with me though, which means that I won't really be able to grab too much, but yeah, let's grab the amplifier first, and once we've got that, we'll steal a little bit of jasmium from the area. I think that's the shipwreck right there. I don't really see any enemies here, so we'll be careful nonetheless, though. Booby-trapped. Oh, this is the thing. Amplifier. There we go. Too easy. Let's trigger that one, and I'll also trigger the one over here. I think there's a couple more. And we should be able to start looting. Quickly grab that money. Money's always nice. Okay, and just like that, we're almost done with this quest. I do need to go to the crossroads and deliver the amplifier. But, as I said, we may as well go ahead and grab some jasmium while we're here. There's a little bit just over here, so let's quickly grab that. So that wasn't a bad run, and all things considered, it's quite nice to have one of the testing stations in the PvE area of the deep desert, which means that you can sort of go through the testing station in a little bit of comfort, you know, and not have to worry about other players trying to gank you and take your stuff. But the trade-off is you don't really get very good rewards. Ooh, there's a fallen ship there. I don't exactly have the space for it though, so yeah, I'll leave that behind. Okay, I'll see you guys when we get to the crossroads, and then we'll go from there. Alright, good old crossroads. Let's drop this off, and well, I'm keen to see if there's a little bit more that we might need to do. I'm thinking there might be. So I'll deliver the item. Fantastic. So, next part of the contract. Finding focus. Find a modulator in a shoal shipwreck. Oh man, okay. Need to go to the shoal again. I mean, we're already here, so we may as well, right? Again, guys, I'm gonna cut to when we actually get to this wreck. Okay, looks like this time we're taken to a much larger ship. Hoping that it won't be too difficult to find what we're looking for. Is that an opening? I don't think so. That's an opening right there. Okay, let's get it done. If I'm not mistaken, this shipwreck doesn't really have enemies or anything like that that we'll need to worry about. It's a little bit dark though. $20 in that general direction. How do I get there though? I mean, I like that we're finding cash as a result of all of this, so that I don't mind. Let's split out, I don't know, about 20 or so, and then we can drop that, just to give us a little bit of space.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Ah, here it is. Okay, Beam modulator. Now, I wasn't paying attention to how much time we have before the sandstorm hits. But I don't like being in the shoal area when there are sandstorms. Purely because it forces you to stay, obviously, grounded. I do kind of want to get out of here. Hopefully we've got a little bit of time before this sandstorm hits. It's a good thing we've got the boost module, so we'll be able to get out of this area pretty quickly. Okay, another delivery. Is it over? Let's just see here. Proper thanks. Meet Ruthay's friends northwest of Missa Taril. Oh, okay. We actually have a destination to go to. Northwest of Missa Taril. It is giving us a marker there anyway, so this shouldn't really be too difficult. Let's go meet them immediately. Yeah, we keep finding these camps every now and then with flares going up. And for the most part, I've been ignoring all of that. Just down here, apparently. There's some kind of a crate there. I'm just a little bit scared that we might get ambushed for whatever reason. Oh, there's a scroll. Be ready. Okay. Whoa. Yeah. I mean, it's nice that, you know, the game wants to try to tell you a story, but in situations like that, you wouldn't really stop to read, right? It'd be nice if there was a way to, you know, slow down and digest, you know, what was said, but alas, there is no time for that. I think moving forward, guys, I'm just going to keep using our endgame armor, considering I've sort of committed to ending the series at this stage. Oh, I think I put away all of the light darts by mistake. So I need to fetch the light darts again. Oh, poisoned. Okay. But yeah, since we don't really have many more episodes, I'm thinking we just want to use the endgame armor, because I don't really have much more time using it. Am I getting sniped from somewhere? Might be. I can hear shots. Yeah, there. Rude. Alright, now we can read the scroll. Be ready. When the target approaches, strike with no hesitation. They have recently been to the shoal, so make sure none of their blood touches the Saguaros. Because it is unclean, dispose of the body by burning, scatter the ashes when the Coriolis hits. Yeah, well, good luck with that. Right. I think we're done with, well, at least that quest line. Let's just take a quick look at all of our missions here. I mean, that's everything. Again, don't know how I can continue with these quests, but I assume it's all these camps that have been sort of set up everywhere, setting off beacons every now and then. Maybe one of these days I should actually just hit one of them up and see if it leads anywhere, but I half suspect that a lot of these quests don't really give you too much aside from an avenue to make a little bit of extra pocket money. So let's head home. And yeah, we're gonna have to figure out what to do next from there. Okay. Not a bad outing. We went to the deep desert. We completed quite a few more quests. Very happy with myself. And I'm hoping, you know, that was the last of the major side quest lines. And in terms of loot, I mean, we didn't really get too much stuff that was mind-boggling or anything like that, but we did get this, the rock carrier wings. And whether or not I'm actually going to make it is a different story, because I'm kind of saving up all of our materials for the large spice refinery. But let's go ahead and tuck away a few additional bits and pieces here, because don't really want to be carrying all this stuff with me. I will fish out light darts though, because I definitely need light darts. Actually, I've got these jasmium crystals that need to be put away. Alright, that's better. So, light darts, we should be able to grab more of those. And I'm thinking what we want is to just maintain about 1,000 of each of the heavy darts and the light darts at any given moment. Ooh. The Aaron K28 lasgun. When did I get this? Maybe we got it as a reward for completing some quests or something? Unclear of the origins of that. Was not paying attention. Oh my god, light darts. This is the problem though, guys, with using the quick move functionality. You can accidentally move stuff that you don't want to move, which is a pain. Perhaps maybe what I should be using is the Paranoid Holtzman shield. I just don't know if I have the ability to repair this or not. Grab that. And I'll tuck away some more cash. Yeah, just figuring out a good place to put all of our darts here. I think maybe this container would be decent because we've sort of got a lot of gear in here. So I shouldn't really make the mistake of throwing things in by mistake. Again, I have no idea if we should be keeping a lasgun, but seems pretty cool. I'll throw it in there. That's actually a weapon that I haven't played around with, I don't think. We've played around with heavy weapons, like, as in heavy darts. But the lasgun, what kind of ammo does this take? So damage type is energy. So does that mean that it relies on the power pack to operate? Actually, I mean, if I just pop it on, it's not like we're gonna damage the base or anything, I think. That's pretty badass. Not gonna lie. But I don't know. It seems like maybe a PvP-centric weapon, potentially. Yeah, it doesn't do any damage to like buildings and stuff that you've built, which is good. So you can test stuff out when you need to. Yeah, let's tuck it away. At least I've, you know, played around a little bit with it. I could go out and just try to kill some enemies with it. Maybe if we do need to go out and do a few things by, you know, killing enemies here and there in the Haga Basin, we might give it a shot. I've got a little bit of salvage metal here. I'm just going to tuck that away. And I'm thinking, with all that's been done in this episode, the only thing that I can think of doing right now is continuing our decorating efforts, because there's plenty more that can be done. So I was sort of thinking about this space, and I probably made mention about it to you guys, but now that I've sort of slept on it and thought about it some more, I think it's still quite nice to have this aesthetic happening in the middle of the base. And we've got that sort of replicated on almost all sides of the base, right? So I think it makes sense for us to keep that aesthetic going. Yeah, so I probably won't do anything to this section after all. I am keeping this door, however, to just hide the sub-thief console. Okay, so let's break out the build tool and let's focus heavily on decorating the space. I do have a couple of banners that are upstairs that are out of place, and I'm struggling to remember where some of these banners go. Unless I have chosen to keep these banners like just here, which I mean I could do if I really wanted to. But what else am I going to put in this space if not for banners? Because I mean I could put more bookcases here, but then it'll start looking a little bit samey, right? So, and I don't really want that to happen. I think maybe keeping banners there wouldn't be such a bad idea, even if we've got quite a few of them. I'm just gonna do a quick flyby. And I just want to identify all of the spots that are supposed to have banners. So we should have banners out here on each side. So I was thinking perhaps maybe you could add an additional banner right next to the banner that you've already got there. That might not look too bad. So again, you could probably think of adding another 2 there. We could add some banners on the hangar. That's probably not a bad idea. And I've got this random banner that I've placed over here. Now, I can't remember if I said that I liked that or if I wanted to get rid of it. Because if I do want to keep that, then essentially what we're going to need to think about is adding even more banners like so on, well, not just this side but the other side as well, so that's at least another 3. So I don't know if that's exactly our intent, but then I don't really want things to be too banner heavy either, right? Like I don't want just like banners everywhere. Now, there's an opportunity to place banners up here. Yeah, okay. I think I've made up my mind about the banners that we're keeping on the upper floor. And the decision is to get rid of them and bring them elsewhere. So let's move this. And yes, I like the idea of having at least one banner on each side of this face. Then we'll have to do the same thing on the other face as well. Which means, yeah, I've got some work cut out for me. Looking for additional agave seeds. Yeah, finding agave seeds can be a bit of a pain. Where the hell did my ornithopter go? Did I put it away? I think it may have slid down or something. Oh no, I parked it over here. My bad. Why did I think that I parked it up there for some reason? I do need to do a flyby. Yeah, that looks good. I reckon if the devs want to add a little bit more, I think there's plenty of opportunity to add like bigger banners. Again, maybe you would add a few more agave seeds for a bigger banner, but I think bigger banners are needed. And if you go to a lot of the official like House Atreides bases, you can definitely see those bigger banners. It's not like they don't have the assets for it. I think they should just make it so that you can place them down. That should be sufficient, you know. Now I can see some gaps in the base. I think I've decided to live on that, but... or live with it, rather. But I wonder if it's just me having missed placing down the right build pieces. Oh, actually no, we can actually cover these. I can do something like that. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Missed opportunities, obviously. Oh, I don't see a gap here. Maybe I just simply missed that one. They look exactly the same. I feel like I can see a slight difference between the two. Yeah, I think that's much better. Yeah, okay. How did I miss that? Right. Well, I'm glad that I spotted that. So we could at least correct that. There are opportunities for perhaps more banners out this way as well. Is it overkill if I place banners there? Since we've already got banners up there. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out if there are other, like, more interesting spots I can place these banners. So that kind of looks nice. We could do the same thing for this one. Yep. What about... Okay. That's not possible. I thought it would look kind of interesting if I could have a banner that just sort of goes down that way as well, but then it's kind of blocking the opening that we've created there. We do need to place it further up a little bit. So that's an idea. But we would have to be able to replicate that up here. And this may prove to be a little bit of a challenge. Maybe let's start with making a quick pathway to be able to reach where we need to reach. So yeah, just something like that, temporarily. Then we just move that. And I don't have very many agave seeds left, but I've at least got enough for one more banner. So let's get it in. We may as well. So, are we happy with that? I think so. I think it looks pretty good. Just trying to figure out whether or not there's a better placement for some of the other banners here. Just looking at the time though, guys, we're probably going to wrap up the episode very soon. I haven't exactly placed down any other decorations, have I? So... has this been a productive exercise? I'm not sure. That side seems to be a bit problematic for whatever reason, so if I can't do it on that side, then I think I'm just gonna move that back. And that might explain why we've got it in its spot, and also why we only have one banner for each of those sides. I think we've got banners on this side, and also we've got banners for the garage as well, which is definitely what we want. Do we need more banners? I don't know. Perhaps maybe I can do a little bit of prep work getting more agave seeds just in case. But if we're only keeping one banner indoors, then we probably do want to just center them a little bit. Like so. And I think that looks pretty decent. And whether or not we add more furnishings here, yeah, again, good question. I sort of want to focus on getting a few more decorations set up here and there. Particularly like some of these vases and stuff. I think we can throw quite a few more of these things around. And yeah, there's probably quite a lot more like different corners of the base where we can continue to do that sort of work in. So I'm gonna probably pause here. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with even more decorating. But I would say that the highlight for the next coming episodes is really just challenging ourselves, going to some of those deep desert testing stations and seeing whether or not we can find some of that endgame loot. I definitely don't have all of the gear that I want. There's a few things. I did mention the disruptor, so hopefully we can get the disruptor at some point. But, you know, if we find anything else out there in the deep desert, I'm not going to say no, obviously. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed episode 70. Once again, thank you so much for sticking with me if you've been here since day one. It really means a lot. Thank you very much. Don't forget to stay true, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.